Good evening and welcome. You're watching Centre Stage and I'm Rahul Kamal. It's the most explosive interview. Former Union Minister and Sonia Gandhi's closest aide, Natwar Singh, has revealed why Sonia Gandhi didn't become Prime Minister in the year 2004 and how Priyanka Gandhi approached Natwar to exclude this secret from his book. Here are excerpts from the interview that Headlines Today recorded with Natwar Singh. This is a Headlines Today national exclusive.
Why should something as personal as the pressure a son puts on his mother because he's scared she could lose her life? After all, that son had lost his father, that son had lost his grandmother. Why should something as personal as that have to be made public?
She's a public figure. She's a public figure. She's the most important politician in India. She is well known all over the world. And I think these facts will somehow, anybody who writes her biography will have to come out. Every biographer's dream. But she had to let them come near. But she's a historic figure. There's no two ways about it. Little about Lincoln, about Jawaharlal Nehru, about Churchill, about Roosevelt. She's in that league.
So historic public figures do not have privacy?
No, they don't.
And even something as personal as a son not wanting his mother to become Prime Minister because he's scared she'll be killed has to be told to the world?
Yes, you read any book on Kennedy. And everything is given in those books about Kennedy because he was a historic figure. And I am a student of history. And we as a country don't have a sense of history. It's our responsibility to make clear how this country is run.
So you had a moral duty to reveal the full truth.
Yeah. I mean, I won't take a saying that I am a great guy, but I'm an honest person.
One other thing. Sonia Gandhi herself, maybe her children, maybe her close friends. Quite possibly Suman Dubey and Manmohan Singh, who you claim were present at that 18th May meeting when you found out that Rahul didn't want his mother to become Prime Minister. Suppose they turn around and say these revelations are fabrications, that they are untrue.
Yeah, they could have said it and got away with it if Sonia and Priyanka had not come to me. Period.
By coming to you to ask you to withhold this story, Sonia has in fact proven the story is true.
That's your conclusion. Yep.
Natwar Singh's explosive book now making national headlines and raising the question, was Sonia Gandhi's supposed renunciation a farce? For the last 10 years in contemporary Indian political history, it has been suggested that the Congress president's inner voice told her that she must not take up the post of the Prime Minister. Now it emerges from this Natwar Singh book and that interview that we've done on Headlines Today that there was no inner voice, there was pressure being made to bear by Rahul Gandhi, who said that he would go to any extreme, take any step, threatened dire consequences, gave Sonia Gandhi just 24 hours and pressured her into backing down. Joining us on the Centre Stage Face-Off this evening, Editor-in-Chief of India Today Group, Shekhar Gupta. With me, Headlines Today's Executive Editor Javed Ansari tracks Sonia Gandhi and the Congress Party very closely. Siddharth Vardarajan, political commentator and journalist, and Siddharth Singh from the Bharatiya Janata Party. I must tell our viewers that we approached the media cell of the Congress to depute a representative for this show. The Congress chose not to send anyone. They've put out a statement. I'll play that out for you in just a moment. Shekhar, I come to you first. On the question of whether Sonia Gandhi's renunciation was then a farce, how seriously should Natwar Singh's latest claim be taken?
See, first of all, I as a political journalist would not describe any act by an active politician as renunciation. She wasn't giving up politics. She was staying on in politics. In fact, she was going to be the most powerful person in that government. So I think renunciation is a heavy word that some people invented at that point of time. I would never use it. I think she took a political decision. Now, the question now is, what inspired that political decision? Was it her judgment? Was it her view that given her origin, given her experience, it will be tough for her to either function as Prime Minister or that she will not be allowed to function as Prime Minister by the system, by the bureaucracy, by media, by whoever, by the opposition, because it wasn't such a strong government? Or was it because of a sense of physical danger as Natwarji suggests in the book? We don't know. But whichever way you see it, it was a well thought out political decision. It could be cynical, it could be tactical, it could be tactical strategic, moral, whatever, but physical, so far we had not thought of. So the implication there that maybe it was also inspired, or it was also sort of caused by a sense of physical danger, I think is a significant one.
No, but this is also pressure coming from Rahul Gandhi, a son who says he doesn't want the mother to become Prime Minister under any circumstances.
Why? Because it does sound like, if you do a close reading, it does sound like that pressure also came because he was concerned about her safety. Her safety. Now, look at it from another point of view. A country like India, a large democracy like India, a strong, powerful country, you know, we must be passing through very sad times if topmost public figures in this country are not sure of their security. So whether it was justified or not justified is a different issue. There can be a debate on that. But the fact is that a new dimension has now been opened to that decision, because her apologists or her supporters called it renunciation. Many others said that maybe she just got, I mean, her opponents said she chickened out, and her really tough opponent said, no, this was all well thought out. She planted a dummy as Prime Minister so she could run the government from behind. Because now we have, which she did in her second term. But I would not say it was a renunciation which has now been exposed as a politically cynical thing.
Javed Ansari, because for the longest time it has been projected or spun as an act of renunciation. Now serious holes are being blown into that theory that it wasn't a renunciation, it was in fact pressure being made to bear from the son on his mother, telling her that no, you cannot become Prime Minister, I will not allow it.
But Rahul, this is one person's word against the other, Mrs. Gandhi herself. And we haven't said it. Mrs. Gandhi herself in that Central Hall meeting, I was witness to it. I reported it for the paper that I was working for then. And she said that there's I've listened to my inner voice and it tells me that I shouldn't take up this. So it's Mr. Natwar Singh's word against Mrs. Sonia Gandhi. He cited two other witnesses, Suman Dubey and Dr. Manmohan Singh.
And Priyanka.
And Priyanka Gandhi, of course. So if the three of them have to come out and say something. I did contact Mr. Suman Dubey. He declined to comment. We haven't heard anything either from Priyanka Gandhi or from Dr. Manmohan Singh.
No, but it was such a close group, which is why so far this never emerged.
And it begs the question, if indeed this was the case, Natwar Singh was sitting there. He was sitting in the front row. Why didn't he get up and say it? In all those years, for several years, he was a minister in that government. He continued to be one of her closest friends and aides. Never did he have not just contradict this, never did he have a harsh word for Mrs. Gandhi. Now he's chosen to
Siddharth Singh, what is the BJP making of these explosive revelations? The fact that it might not have been an act of renunciation, her inner voice telling her, but instead pressure from the son telling the mother, you can't take up this job.
Well, Rahul, I think that period when it happened in 2004, I don't think any journalist or any newspaper or any magazine said that it is not a renunciation. Everybody said and praised, and some of them went ahead and said it is Mother Teresa, it's a sacrifice like Mother Teresa. They compared Sonia Gandhi with Mother Teresa. I still remember one of the magazines having a big halo behind Sonia Gandhi. But all this has happened. Now the key thing is, what Shekhar was saying is that it could be for variety of reason, not able, inexperience, security, blah, 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 all those things. But the fact is, that was not the reason. Any reason could have been there, but the reason given to the public and to the people of this country was that it is my inner voice and we are not running after a Prime Minister's post. So that is very important that the country comes to know from Natwar Singh's book and the interview which happened today on your channel. Now one can always argue and say about the timing, that he is suspect, he is not with the Congress, his son is with BJP, you know, blah blah, lot of all these things can be said about it. But the fact of the matter is, somebody, Sonia Gandhi or Priyanka Gandhi, needs to deny what Natwar Singh has said in the interview. They came to their house for pleading not to carry things in his book. That is what is important. That needs to be challenged by the family than anybody else. And the second part of it, hello, can you
coming to the second part in just a moment, but I want reactions on the first part. about this revelation, Siddharth Vardarajan, that it was pressure from Rahul Gandhi that got Sonia Gandhi to back down, because Natwar Singh suggests in his book that Sonia wasn't averse to the idea of becoming Prime Minister. She'd stake claim earlier when she was let down by Mulayam, and the second instance as well, unlike what is publicly perceived. She wasn't unwilling, she was willing to consider it. It was Rahul's veto that held her back. Does the Congress and Sonia Gandhi herself have some serious explaining to do, Siddharth?
Well, I want to make 3 points in general. I think first of all, we should reject completely any attempt by analysts or people on the Congress side or whoever to shoot the messenger. I think Natwar Singh was privy to certain matters when it came to the functioning of the Congress High Command. It is true that he was very close to the family. It is true that he had a falling out. He is bitter. But despite his bitterness, he has held his own. He's held his counsel during times when any revelation that he had made would have been far more politically damaging for the Congress party. So I think it's unfair for anybody to question Natwar Singh's motives today and to question the veracity of what he's written simply because he's had a falling out with the party. Second point, I think it's very clear that there were a number of factors that went into Sonia Gandhi's decision to not take up the Prime Minister's job. The BJP's very vituperative opposition, the kind of xenophobic campaign that they ran, was obviously a factor. She felt perhaps that why create an issue or perpetuate an issue that may derail the functioning of the government to a certain extent. It's very clear now from what Natwarji has said that Rahul's fears about her personal safety, and I know from a couple of interactions with Rahul that Rahul Gandhi during the last 4 or 5 years, that he's very conscious of the fact that his grandmother and his father were both assassinated, and this weighs very heavily on him. So, you know, it doesn't surprise me that this would be a factor. But the third and most important point that I want to make is that implicit in that act of renunciation, when she could have taken the job and she chose not to, were 2 things. First, that she was in a sense creating a situation for her children to inherit the party. So even if she was stepping aside, it was a very clear understanding, and this has been validated by what's happened over the last 10 years, particularly the last 2 years, that her son will then, the mantle for the leadership of the party will pass on to her son. And secondly, and this is something that I wrote in a column for the Times of India in 2004, that she's given up the Prime Minister's post, which is very good and we applaud her for that, but she should now be willing to set aside the remote control. Because it's one thing for Bal Thackeray to exercise the remote control over a chief minister, but for an extra constitutional authority to try to use the remote control for the Prime Minister of India is something that is not acceptable, something that would weaken this country. And this was the expectation everybody had, that she should not do this. This was the demand people made.
Okay, Siddharth, we've got reactions coming in from the Congress party. Senior leaders reacting to this explosive interview that we've got with Natwar Singh. This is what Ambika Soni and Anand Sharma had to say.
No, when people go out for reasons which are in public domain, or they have to be perforce because of bona fide doubts kept out by the leadership and the party, then after 9 years suddenly the wisdom dawns. We are not privy to what he is saying, what was transpired between him and the Congress president. Now it is his version, and you have to take it not with a pinch of salt but with a fistful of salt. Somebody who is bitter and somebody who is talking after 9-10 years.
When people have been close to each other, have shared political experiences with each other, and then for some reason or the other you start going on your different roads, I don't think it behoves a person of any stature to make comments like this, which look like like spilling the beans, or looks as if they are telling things which are secretive. These things are not like that. It's not done like that.
That is playing on our channel, in which he says...
let us wait for the book, and if there is a comment by him, what is there to comment upon a comment? You have to go and ask him. Let us wait for the book.
Sonia Gandhi and Natwar Singh had a bitter falling out. Does that take away from the seriousness of the charge that he levels against the Congress and against Mrs. Gandhi?
Well, first of all, I think what he's saying is really not a charge. It's a revelation, right? That qualification always remains, that Natwar Singh left a bitter man. Also, don't forget the circumstances in which he was made to leave the government. His name featured in a very embarrassing scandal, in an investigation report. So this doesn't give him a Ganga Snan from whatever that allegation was, or whatever the suspicion was. But having said that, since we know Natwar Singh to be a good storyteller, a good raconteur, somebody with a great memory, good turn of phrase and intellect, so I don't expect him to suddenly come and invent something from the top of his head. I think he's a man of substance. You can disagree with him, agree with him. I, as an editor, have been very critical of him on the Volcker case. I'm sure at some point we must have also demanded his departure from the cabinet. But having said that, when Natwar Singh writes something which is like a personal memoirs, you have to take it seriously. So I think take his revelations at face value.
That's what you're suggesting. One of the revelations.
I would not call them accusations. I would call them revelations, and I would say they are very interesting and they are very significant. I will not dismiss them out of hand at all.
Siddharth Varadarajan, one of the things that is suggested by Natwar Singh in his book, in our interview, is that Pulok Chatterjee used to carry government files to Sonia Gandhi. When I interviewed him for Seedhi Baat, he said, not on the way up, but on the way down after the Prime Minister had seen them, all government decisions before they were publicly announced were informed to the Congress president. Now, is that just the natural course of events? Because this is after what Sanjay Baru said, where he suggested exactly the same thing. Now you've got another insider suggesting that all government decisions were ratified by the Congress president. That means that the Congress cannot distance itself from that charge that it was Sonia Gandhi who was using the remote control.
No, it doesn't surprise me. I don't think that, just to come, the fundamental issue that if Natwar Singh had an axe to grind, he could have, and if he's making stuff up, he could have made stuff up that was far more damaging, right? What he said is entirely within the realm of the possible, and we know that these things happen, and the fact is that Manmohan Singh was the head of a Congress government. He became Prime Minister because of Sonia Gandhi. He was in a sense bound to implement Congress party policies, and it wouldn't surprise me that Sonia Gandhi would want to monitor this rather more closely than might have been prudent. Now, I don't know in terms of the legal niceties whether files were shown before or after she signed the Official Secrets Act. I think the NAC was constituted pretty soon after the government was formed, so there was perhaps a there's legal cover for this. But I think anybody who imagined that the Congress party did not have a substantial say in government policy making, and that Sonia Gandhi as Congress president did not have a substantial, if not decisive say, is living in a dream world. I mean, this is the reality of Indian politics, and I don't think this is something that the Congress party ought to be particularly embarrassed about either, because they made no bones about it.
I want to focus also, Javed, on the one other very interesting thing, which is about the meeting in May, where Priyanka Vadra calls up Natwar Singh, says she wants to come and meet him, then suddenly Sonia Gandhi tags along as well. This after they haven't met on a one-on-one basis since the Volcker allegations emerged. Does that in some sense lend credence to what Natwar Singh is now suggesting or revealing, as Shekhar says, because it shows that they were worried about what Natwar Singh, the ultimate insider, might write in his autobiography?
I mean, certainly it would lead people to think on those lines, because why meet? Why the Sun meeting? As a matter of fact, they did meet once. Mr. Natwar Singh drove to 10 Janpath when Aung San Suu Kyi was released and she was visiting India, because Mrs. Gandhi wanted to consult him on certain issues. He was involved. But that's the only meeting. Thereafter, this is the second meeting. But this meeting coming in the wake of his interview to Economic Times, where he spoke about his forthcoming book, and he hinted that there'd be certain revelations, it would lead a lot of people to believe that obviously it had something to do with that. Whatever
he said before our publication is not relevant, Javed. What matters is what we publish today.
so therefore, yes, it would lead people to believe. And even if they didn't say it in so many words, obviously, like
but it clearly shows, Shekhar, how rattled 10 Janpath was. by the fact that here's a man who's literally seen Sonia grow up, who's seen Rahul grow up, who's been closely associated with the family.
He admits 4 generations of Gandhi.
Absolutely, and since Pandit Nehru. So that shows how concerned they were. Has there been any impact at all on of the pressure on what's ultimately been printed?
Well, I don't know, but see, this is the problem with closed dynasties. Because closed dynasties then tend to live their own lives not very democratically or not very openly. And then they tend to have these confidants, keepers of the family silver, keepers of the family secrets. And then a problem develops for them, which is that in the course of time, your trusted people, by definition, they have to be very few. They get to know too much about you. And as they get to know too much about you, it becomes very tough for you, in fact, almost impossible for you to treat them on merit. And if you ever are called upon to treat them on merit or punish them for lack of merit or for having done something wrong, then you know the downside. Then you know the person goes out with all the secrets. So in fact, this is the big peril of closed dynasties in public life. Because if public office is like public trust, you can't have it and then use it in such a feudal manner. Because then risks will follow you wherever you go. Because this is a democracy. One day people will come out, particularly if you've been rough with people, if you punish somebody, maybe for good reason. But once people have grievances, they will come out and speak. And because you've been so secretive, nobody even now knows where Rahul Gandhi goes traveling, for example. You know, he may have good reasons for it, but the fact is that you don't know. So tomorrow, if one of his aides, he fires one of his aides and he comes out and writes a book saying he goes to Timbuktu 25 times a year, most people will believe it.
Siddharth Nath Singh, does the fact that Sonia Gandhi and Priyanka Vadra going and meeting Natwar Singh before his book gets published reveal that they were worried about what Natwar Singh might publish, and does that add extra credence to what Natwar Singh is suggesting in this book?
I think certainly it adds to the credibility of what Natwar Singh is saying, but also from politically, if I look at it, I feel it would have been more damaging to the Congress party had this book come out somewhere in, let's say, March or April, when the elections were there. So people, challenging or doubting the timing and making him a suspect, I think they must also understand, had it happened about 2 months or 3 months before the elections were happening, it would have been more damaging for the Congress. But the real issue is, and let me correct my friend Siddharth, that it is the files going from the Prime Minister's office to under the legal frame to say the NSE, I feel it is a violation of Officers Secret Act, which is there. So there should be a question raised. Why did the files go to a person who even is holding a cabinet rank? And that is a violation, and that needs to be looked into by anybody.
It also substantially undermines the position and the post of the Prime Minister's office. You cannot have somebody sitting over the Prime Minister's office ratifying decisions before they're made public. Ajay Markan, General Secretary Communications of the AICC, has put out a statement, and I want to quote what the Congress is officially saying in response to Natwar Singh's book. This is ridiculous. These days it has become fashionable to sensationalize the contents of a book with the sole aim of ensuring better sales and free publicity. This is yet another such exercise. Any comment on this will be futile, because I know for a fact, Javed, that for the longest time through the day, the Congress was deliberating on whether or not they should officially respond, what their response should be, who should be deputed to go and field the questions on our program. They've ultimately come out and decided that they want to distance themselves from the book, pretend it doesn't exist. Is that the right strategy, you think?
Well, certainly not. The Congress has got its media strategy wrong from the very beginning. You can't live in denial. The best thing is to come out and face, because this is an issue which will not go away. They may not come to the studios and answer tomorrow in Parliament. People will confront them. The BJP will raise it for so they will have to answer. It would have been better if they had come and just confronted the issue.
But Siddharth Vardarajan seems to suggest, Shekhar, that it is considered to be part of the arrangement that the files will be sent to Sonia Gandhi. But it cannot be as simplistic as that. The position of the Prime Minister's office cannot be eroded in this fashion.
I'm not quite sure he said that. Siddharth is a very
no, but he suggested that people accept that that's part of the arrangement.
I think also, you know, this file going to her maybe said, I don't know, but may have been said more metaphorically, because, you know, it's not possible to take so many files out of one place to the other. You should see those files coming to minister's home in their boxes. And
no, but he's suggesting all significant decisions.
Well, decisions, yes.
Before they were announced.
I think
Sonia Gandhi was informed about it.
Absolutely, not just informed about it, but given a veto. So many of the decisions were not taken because she did not like them. In fact, many of the decisions taken were withdrawn after they were made public. I mean,
even after the cabinet passed it, Rahul Gandhi tearing up that.
Start with the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement. Indian Prime Minister signing a solemn agreement with his Pakistani counterpart. It was thrown out by the Congress Core Committee and the Congress spokesman. So you had very distorted governance over the past 5 years. In fact, I would go so far as to say that the entire cabinet system had been subverted in UPA 2, because the Congress Core Committee, members of which were not even sworn to office in secrecy. NSE. They had no business to get into all this. In fact, even GOMs and EGOMs, they were subverting the cabinet process, and frankly, people of India punished the Congress party for it.
These are revelations that cannot be dismissed. These are questions that the Congress must tackle. They've chosen not to come out tonight, but these are questions that will chase Congress leaders now that the ultimate insider has spoken. Even though the India Today cover the truth about Sonia, exclusive book excerpts from the Natwar Singh biography, will be out on the stands Friday. So if you want to read more about what the former External Affairs Minister has written about why Sonia Gandhi chose not to become Prime Minister and the nature of their relationship overseas, you can catch it in this week's India Today, out on stands Friday. Thank you all very much to all my guests for joining us in the first part of Center Stage tonight.